Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you, Professor Lee, for your kind introduction and invitation. And I'm honored to be here today. This is my, I don't know, maybe fourth or fifth time to Korea, first time to this university. First time probably was a long time ago, I think, when Japan, well, Korea and Japan co-hosted the World Cup, Soccer World Cup in 2002. Okay, so I was here for the last game time period. So my friends and I was into soccer at the time. I was working for a Japanese soccer club as a part-time, a staff. So that was the time, probably around the time when most of you weren't born, or around the time you were born. So nice to be here. Today I would like to talk about what we've been doing in Japanese education sector, particularly focusing on how geography education is trying to contribute to disaster risk reduction. And I'm a geographer, I'm a human geographer, and I started my geography study not focusing on disaster, but rather focusing on urban geography and geography of ethnic group of different migration to the United States. So it has almost nothing to do with the disaster preparedness. But 2011 disaster affected my own family. I was actually born in Kanagawa, but I spent majority of my childhood in Fukushima Prefecture. Oh, okay, this is helpful. And then I spent my university undergrad until PhD in Miyagi Prefecture. So this coastal area, I'm totally connected to. And then the disaster hit the most the Miyagi Prefecture. So they lost about 20,000 people in 2011 disaster, and half of the casualty occurred in Miyagi Prefecture. And of course, Fukushima Prefecture for their nuclear power plant accidents. So that's where I am from, and let's see. So these are the pictures I took before the disaster period, and on a train between Sendai and Iwaki, my hometown. It's a beautiful coastal town, known for hula dancing. I'm not sure if you have watched the Japanese movie Hula Girl. Maybe not, but it's
I know.
You have, okay.
Yes, I saw it. Yes.
Oh, perfect. So that's the real story that occurred in my own home city. But again, 2011, March 11th, it was 2:46 p.m. It was a Friday. I was in Tokyo. I was working at the Ochanomizu University at the time. The big earthquake happened. It's magnitude 9.0. It's one of the biggest earthquake recorded in northern hemisphere. So that caused, tsunami and the earthquake damage. This is my family home in Iwaki City. Luckily, everybody survived, so nobody got injured, nobody died. But this is the home I grew up at, and it's just completely damaged, almost destroyed. So the government said you can't live here anymore, but we couldn't afford to rebuild the house. So my family members back home had to evacuate 2 years in different location, and they couldn't rebuild, so they fixed the house and went back to the house after 2 years. So that's, and then this is the coastal Iwaki City, Fukushima. I took these photos after I returned. The tsunami hit the coastal area. So it's very shocking. I grew up actually in this port town in what they call Maritime Boy Scout. So I was a member doing like boating and everything. So it was my mother port, but it was completely damaged by the tsunami, the impact. This is where one of my relatives' family's house stood in the coastal of Fukushima. This is my grandfather trying to locate where the house was. So they just couldn't find where exactly the house was. Luckily, everybody in this family evacuated to a higher ground, so they survived. We couldn't contact them for, I don't know, about 2 months. I had to call police, place where they have, dead bodies and everything. So I tried to locate them, but couldn't find them. But luckily, they evacuated to different prefecture, and they all were found alive. So, and then a nuclear power plant accident happened. This is where Fukushima Daiichi nuclear power plant is. And my family home is located around here. So it's far enough, like 50, 60 kilometers. And unfortunately, the wind at the time of explosion went toward northern western direction. So these people were severely affected. Fortunately for us, it didn't affect us. But because of this, this is where the literacy or geographic literacy is important. There's a lot of confusions that happened, and people are so worried about the radiation coming to their own, community. So people were panicked, and people didn't know. People didn't actually have these maps at the time. So they created a lot of panic, miscommunication, and people in the southern edge of Iwaki City, where my house is, had to evacuate voluntarily. Not in fear of so much of radiation itself, but because of the lack of help that comes to that area. So my family actually had to, like for example, I was in Tokyo, and then some of my family members actually came to Tokyo to, get these materials. Just waiting for the situation to be better. So they spent about 10 days in the Tokyo metropolitan area, including my small house, apartment in Tokyo. And eventually we drove back to Iwaki. And this is the picture I took on my way back from Tokyo to Iwaki in March, I think it was March 26th. So this is March 28th, so it's been exactly 14 years since I had to go through this crazy time, really. As I mentioned, I studied about the migration geography, like people who migrate to the United States from like war zones, like, in Somalia, all these places. But never imagine like myself, like my family, in a refugee situation like this, with all the cars with the Iwaki number plates. These are like my hometown plates. So, and I looked around, and all the cars had the same sort of like blankets and food and everything in the car. So it was a very, very shocking experience at the time. So this actually, the experience sort of encouraged me to work on disaster from geographic perspective. So until then, I wasn't interested at all. Actually, geography. Well, I studied about disaster geography in a classroom, but not so much. But then, because of this experience, I started studying about disaster and geography, and now I do more examining, like disaster from geographic perspective. And a few years later, after the disaster, I moved from Ochanomizu University in Tokyo to Miyagi University of Education, which is a national teacher training university in Sendai. I always wanted to go back to Tohoku. The time I was in Tokyo, was the only time I was away from Tohoku area. Excuse me. Apart from my time when I had a few years in the United States, so I was always from Tohoku, spent majority of my life, but it was only that time when the disaster hit, I wasn't there. So I always wanted to go back. So I did go back to Tohoku after a few years, and I started working for the teacher training university. And then I met with victim's family from a tragedy in Tohoku, which I will talk about later. But I would like to just show you some of the statistical figures of the damage that put on the school related, the damage that more than 600 people or young children were killed. Majority of the death was caused by tsunami. So they were just so that, and because Japanese buildings, the school buildings is very strong and reinforced, so there was no collapse of school buildings and nobody died of that. But it was most of them were most of the cause of the death was tsunami. Well, these are the figures. So a lot of schools were damaged, and some of the schools had experienced severe damage that required major restoration. This is one school. You can see here. This is Arahama Elementary School of city of Sendai. It was located about 150 meters away from the shore. This part is the Pacific, and then tsunami came from that side and hitting this building. This is the only strong and vertical structure in the community, so that building only survived. The people who evacuated to this building, they all survived. But unfortunately, about 200 some local residents who did not or could not evacuate to this building were killed. You can find many schools like that in Japan that actually saved a lot of lives because their buildings were very strong. You can see the helicopter lift from the same school. This is the Arahama district, so this is where the school was located, and you can see lots of what do you call independent, detached housing structures, but it's all washed away. I used to spend some time in this beach here, when I was a student. So it was shocking. I knew this community, and I kind of remember all the old houses, in the coastal area, but it was just completely washed away, and the school itself just survived. So that's one example of school damage and how the school actually saved people. And you can see, because you're education students, you may want to know how students kind of try to survive or weather the disaster. This is a classroom conducted in school gym in a different school. So their school was completely destroyed or washed. So the city of Sendai teachers made great effort trying to reopen the school after almost 1 month, actually. It's a little bit more than a month. March 11th was a time when the school had graduation in Japan. So it's at the end of semester for elementary and junior high school at the time, or even now. So it's now spring break, and that's why I'm here today. So it's the spring break. So they were able to use the spring break and took about 6-7 weeks And I think in the city of Sendai, they reopened the school like this in April 21st or something like that. So the teachers made great efforts so that they try to prevent the disruption of education. So they want to make sure they receive basic education without interruption. So yeah, so again, like schools like this is a junior high school going on in another school gym. You can see all the cardboard walls, and so that's their lessons from disaster. So let me just skip, but I'll skip a few slides just describing the importance of keeping the school going during the time of disaster, and which is stressed in the disaster, like global disaster framework called Sendai Framework for Disaster Risk Reduction. So now I'd like to talk about the rising role of geographic literacy. This is the main theme for today. There are two sort of backgrounds, like why geography is important for disaster education or disaster risk reduction at school. There's one legal framework in Japan, and then there's Okawa Elementary School accident. So I just talk about two sort of main backgrounds. And first background is quite simple, legal framework. The Japanese school has been under, what would be the good word? I mean, this School Health and Safety Act of 2009 in Japan requires all the schools to tailor disaster plans, the school disaster plans, according to each school setting. So that's the law, and this is the main law that supervises school safety. It's updated, actually it was enacted in 2009, and then 2 years later, or 2 years after the enactment of this act, they had, earthquake. So people say it was like it wasn't enough time, but legally speaking, it was already, in place. So again, School Health and Safety Act says that because the compulsory schools locate very different or diverse, like environment, right? In order for the school, in order for in order to provide basic education, you can find like small school in a very remote area, or you find the school like in a very urban area. So your planning for safety differs from location to location. So you have to take geography into consideration for preparing safety. That's the one basic idea behind this legal framework. And this actually law played very important sort of a role in a court case that I'm going to talk about in a Okawa school tragedy. So just remember this, please. This is 2009 School Health and Safety Act. So that's the legal background. And then the Okawa Elementary School tragedy probably has the strongest impact on the school policymakers, or the policymakers in general, to try to improve the school safety or preparedness for disaster risk reduction. I'm not sure. Have you heard of this accident or this tragedy? Not sure. Yes. No. Okay. So that's good in a way. So I can just share with you. I mean, so Okawa Elementary School. Let me just show you. It was located in Ishinomaki City in Miyagi Prefecture, the prefecture I was at. it's a coastal town, and just to simply summarize this, because of the tsunami, 74 students were killed, and 10 teachers were killed. A total of 84, people. The school had 108 students, but at the time on the day of this tragedy, March 11th, the 77 students were there at the time at school. Only 3 people survived. 70 students were found dead. 4 students were still missing. The parents every day go there still, try to find, their loved ones. And this happened under the supervision of school. So it was a school going at the time. So the students were following the teacher's instruction for evacuation. And 10 teachers out of 11 teachers were died, so only 1 teacher survived. So this is a very shocking tragedy. I have met with the families, the victims' family, some of the victim families, the victims of students mostly, but I also have sort of interacted with the victim's family of a teacher, and almost half of the teachers who died were the graduate of our university in Miyagi, which is a very typical statistics if you go to Miyagi. So a lot of teachers studied at our university. So it's very tragic event that occurred, and we tried to examine what went wrong. But it was very hard for the local city municipal board of education trying to find what happened. And then after the disaster, this is a side story, but after the disaster, there's this very tragic miscommunication added between Board of Education and the victim's family. So it became really sensational among the media coverage and stuff like that. So that actually added more stress on the victim's family. So eventually, the victim's family, I think it was 23 students' family, decided to sue the municipal government and the prefectural government because they run public schools in Ishinomaki City. So I will talk about the court ruling in a minute, but let's see. Let's just take a look. This is where the Okawa Elementary School was located here. And then this is the risk map available at the time of a tsunami. It had some tsunami hazard projection map. Well, as you can see, the school here itself is not in an inundation projection because this map was created based on magnitude 7 point something Miyagi earthquake that they were expecting to happen every 30 years. But the actual earthquake was magnitude 9.0. Nobody has imagined that big earthquake occurring and hitting this area. So all the map projection in the Tohoku area, coastal Tohoku, was based on the magnitude 7th earthquake. So this is the map at the time. And again, the school is not located in the inundation zone. But what happened was the tsunami, of course, created following the magnitude 9.0 earthquake, hit the entire area. So according to some local people, tsunami not only came from this coastal side, but they came from this side, maybe just going around all the way. And then this is there's a big bridge here. This is the first bridge from the shore. So the tsunami that came from this side along the river brought all the debris, like woods and everything, hit the first bridge, and then the water came from the hitting the bridge, and then inundated the school area. So the problem was that they had earthquake occurred at 2:46 p.m. But the tsunami came to this area at around 3:36 or something like that. So they had about 50 some minutes between the first earthquake and the tsunami itself. So what they did, so according to the survivors, the teachers made sure everyone evacuated from the school classroom to the school ground. So this is the fact. Everybody, recalled that. So teachers made sure nobody left in the school building. But the problem was that, people argued, where should we go? Should we stay here? Or they're talking about tsunami warning, so should we go to the higher ground? It's very hard to find what happened because there are only 3 survivors of children and along with a few adults there. But some survivors said that the teachers were arguing with the local people or among the teachers. We should stay here. We never had tsunami before. Nothing is written we're not in the inundation zone. We should stay here. Some teachers screamed and said, "Well, we should go up to the backyard, back mountain or hill here." But I don't know what concluded their decision, but their final decision was to evacuate from this school to this river bank here. Because river bank, it tends to have a little bit higher and wider area. So that's the decision they made, and as they started to evacuate to toward that area, the tsunami hit. So it's very hard to talk. I've talked about this I don't know how many hundreds of times in front of hundreds of people, or even thousands of people actually, about this. But it's just still very stressful to talk about it. But survivors' family recalled. It's maybe too graphic, so I should probably avoid. But But anyway, so they had 50 minutes. And at least, they took about 10-15 minutes to evacuate from the building to the school. So at least they had about, I don't know, half an hour spending this in the ground. So, could they have made a better choice, or should they have made a better plan before this happened? Was the biggest, the strong regret that survivors' family, talk about. So the school was So let me just go this. And as I said, this is all right. I'll try to time myself with that. We started this, so if I say I should finish about 4:20, is this okay?
Yes, 4:20 is okay.
And this goes until 4:30.
Mm-hmm.
Is it the okay? All right. So let me just. All right. So in a summary, the victim's family sued the government, and they first local court found this is a civil case, so it's not a what do you call criminal case. So they wouldn't say guilty or not guilty. They just had civil case. So they found the school government responsible for causing this in the first local court, and then government appealed. Then they went to the second level, high court, and the high court again found the school responsible for this, and then so they said they should have reviewed the reliability of the hazard map and emergency evacuation plan and things like that. So they actually use a very strong word citing the law I was talking about of 2009, saying, okay, each school is supposed to plan your safety based on your own geography feature. But for example, this Okawa Elementary School used the template of a school plan from Yamanashi Prefecture. I don't know if you know the geography of Japan. Yamanashi Prefecture is not facing the sea, ocean. It's actually inland prefecture, has no risk of tsunami, but somehow this school used Yamanashi Prefecture template of a school safety plan, things like that. So they found responsible for the school government, or the school management, for their lack of preparation. So this actually led the nationwide discussion on how we should improve the school safety. So they started different plan to train teachers, or establishing like a location-specific safety plan, things like that. So this court ruling was given in 2019. It actually went into the Supreme Court in Tokyo, and Supreme Court said, okay, there's no reason for rejecting this. So this is confirmed, and now based on the court ruling and based on the law, the legal framework, now the Japanese school community is trying to improve that kind of safety plan based on geographic awareness. So this is where the use of geographic literacy comes, and GIS. So Japanese government, following the 2011 disaster, introduced different types of disaster, the web GIS. You're geography students, right? So I don't have to talk about the web GIS. What is, you know what? Okay. Yes, of course. So yeah. So I wouldn't go, in different things, but you may want to go to the to our hazard map website. But so they, the central government is introducing WebGIS with the risk maps, WebGIS with the geomorphological, like topological maps and things like that, and try to train pre-service teachers. Some of you are pre-service teachers, I guess, and in-service teachers. So this is our university. They may look some senior. They're like graduate students who are in-service teachers, like your students here. So they had no experience of using these new GIS, and they tried to discuss how to incorporate these technology into classrooms. So that's what we've been doing. Sorry, this is Japanese, so let me just skip this. This basically shows the in-service teachers. A lot of them are aware of WebGIS, but never try to use them at classroom. So we started off training teachers with paper-based maps. It's very surprising that a lot of teachers can't even read the map. I don't know if this is being recorded, so I shouldn't say a harsh word, but it's okay, it's English. We start, and it's very hard to train teachers, right? Teachers are very proud of themselves, so me teaching how to read maps. That's kind of hard thing. So I try to be polite and navigate teachers. Oh wow, you can find that kind of So this is what we have been doing in Ishinomaki City. So this is the city that where the Okawa Elementary School was there, and started with a paper map, and then using, like I said, this GSI map, geospatial survey map. And then what we try to do is to assess or evaluate the progress or the effectiveness of this training. So we try to develop a training for teachers, and then we ask them what kind of things can you kind of read from this map and from this map. How can you, like what are the geographic features you can read in preparation for school safety? Before we run lectures, like explaining, okay, you should probably look at this part. So before we do a workshop or lectures, a lot of teachers can't really write things. Okay, they said, okay, there's a hill or river near here or something like that. But after we run hours of lectures and workshop, some teachers can become able to kind of describe more, like in details, the risks and geographic features they can read from the map. So we try to do this. We should probably have better, maybe we should learn from the geography education colleagues how to assess these. We started doing this, and we haven't discussed well with our colleagues in geography education, even in Japan. But that's what we've been doing, and here are some web GIS. This is what we call kasaneru hazard map. Kasaneru is like just stacking or layering different hazards. Do you have similar GIS here in Korea?
Yes.
So I'm sure. So we just try to introduce these web GIS, and this is a topography map with a shadow relief function. So, and we also have a konjaku map. This is like this is a current map, and this is a map from a very long time ago, like 1915. So you can compare in the same area with GIS, and then have students or teachers understand for example, like this river is kind of reinforced, and then also if you go to different parts, the town became larger because of the urbanization and things like that. So, and then these are rice paddies. So rice paddies being developed to a residential area is very vulnerable to earthquake. So you should also read that kind of feature as well. So we use these what we call konjaku, the now and before, like konjaku map. All right. So, and then using these geographic information, we try to design WebGIS for children. So children just try to use regular WebGIS because it has a very complicated, kanji characters and things like that. So we try to use like very simple Japanese to navigate and tell students, the children students, what kind of things they should focus on, look at. But this is actually same data coming from the same agency, but the platform is different. And then this is how we introduce these technology GIS to children in an affected area. Actually, this is Miyagi, another municipality in coastal Miyagi. All right. Well, in Japan, because of the COVID, government accelerated the what they call Giga School initiative. So the government actually made sure every child in elementary school level, junior high school level has one tablet with a high-speed internet access at school. So now it's a very good environment for teachers to introduce something like that. So teachers try to catch up with all this technology. So we train teachers, and we actually even provide lesson plans for teachers, how to, provide these courses. Again, the contact map and all right. So yeah. So let's see. I think I should wrap up with for question and answers, but lastly, I'd like to show you the very interesting WebGIS feature our Japanese geospatial agency introduced. This is what we call the disaster monument layers. So I'm sure here in Korea you have similar like stone monuments just depicting disaster happened in this area, or people died in the war here, things like that. Hundreds or thousands of stone monuments like that in Japan. But it's in a stone, in a very old style kanji, very hard to read. So government will take pictures, and then they actually show description of what kind of monument this is. This is actually a shrine. You see the Shinto shrine was covered with volcanic ash. Is saved for a monument, trying to tell disaster, like a volcanic disaster in this area. So they put these locations with these icons, the figures. They actually had to change the law in Japan to introduce new map sign, and then so they actually register these feature in their WebGIS. So we have all this technology in place, and once again, this tragedy in Okawa Elementary School was the starting point, or the strong cause of this policy change, and like I said, the teachers are trying to catch up, and we, the geographer at the university level, conduct a lot of teacher training using WebGIS or paper-based GIS. But the teachers are the professionals who actually teach. So they acquire these literacy and the digital skills, and then according to the level of education, they are the one that try now to create their own lesson plans. So they try to share their plans with us, and then that we started kind of a website to share the lesson plans and things like that. So that's what we have been doing over the last few years, and then so this is the development of post 2011 disaster in Japan. So this concludes my presentation, and thank you for listening.
you.